Hello and welcome to a new edition of Business Insider. Egypt will be an official member of the BRICS starting from this upcoming January 2024. BRICS efforts in forming alternative payment systems and non-dollar financial systems, increasing trade with domestic currencies, and the longer-term possibility of creating a common currency can all benefit Egypt. By possessing membership in the BRICS, Egypt wants to develop alternative supply chains, promote economic growth, diversify the economy, and cooperate with the other BRICS countries, which now also include fellow Arab friends, Saudi Arabia and the United Arab Emirates. The BRICS represents about 26% of the area of the earth and also about 42% of the world population. So definitely a big grouping there, a big market, and the role of BRICS countries in world economy is also on the rise. We'll be talking about the opportunities that this move, Egypt's joining of the BRICS, the opportunities for Egypt after joining the BRICS. This will be our main topic for tonight. But as always, we will first take a look at our stories making the headlines for this past week, our top economic stories. And we start here in Egypt, where the Global Congress on Population, Health and Development, the PHDC 2023, is continuing its activities for the second straight day on Wednesday in the new administrative capital. More than 8,000 persons from Egypt and world countries are taking part in the four-day conference, which is held under the theme Healthy Population for Sustainable Development. On Tuesday, President Sisi witnessed the opening session of the conference, during which the National Population and Development Strategy was launched. Also, a roadmap to deal with the overpopulation issue by enhancing population characteristics and improving the quality of life was launched on the first day of the conference's activities. As many as 270 Egyptian and foreign speakers are participating in 65 panel discussions during the four-day conference. The conference brings together all those concerned with health, population and development issues at the global, regional and national levels, as well as representatives of international and civil society organizations, the private sector and entrepreneurs. And Prime Minister Dr. Mustafa Madbouli has asserted that the Africa Climate Summit is coming at a time when the world, especially Africa, is witnessing increasing negative climate change impacts. Madbouli referred to drought waves in the Horn of Africa and Sahel region, deadly hurricanes and fires in the Arab Maghreb, deadly hurricanes and Arab Maghreb wildfires, in addition to rising sea temperature. He made the remarks during his participation on behalf of President Sisi in the General Assembly of the Africa Climate Summit, currently held in Nairobi, Kenya, under the theme of Driving Green Growth and Climate Finance Solution for Africa and the World. He thanked Kenyan President for hosting the summit and conveyed the greetings of President Sisi. He said the summit comes a few months after Egypt's success in hosting the United Nations Climate Change Conference COP27, noting that Egypt was keen to come up with tangible outcomes in order to accelerate implementation of climate-related projects on the ground. Egypt was keen to make COP27 a milestone in highlighting the needs and circumstances of Africa in light of the dangers and challenges posed by climate change. Madbouli commended a vision tendered by the United Arab Emirates, the president of COP28, on the future of transition to renewable energy. And the 6th session of the National Dialogue Economic Axis kicked off on Tuesday at the Cairo International Convention Center with a wide participation of experts in different spectra of the society. The Inflation and Price Hikes Subcommittee, which convenes under the Economic Axis, is discussing over 2 sessions the issues of price hikes and means of mitigating the burdens on citizens. Also, the Subcommittee on Public Debt, Budget Deficit and Financial Inflation will address reducing public debt and maximizing the benefits of internal and external loans. The Industrial Subcommittee is discussing the objectives and the roadmap of the industrial development in the short and medium terms, in addition to problems facing standing and stumbled industries and the introduction of new industries to the markets. Time now to watch a report on our main topic for tonight, the opportunities for Egypt after joining the BRICS. We will come back here after the report and start our discussion with our phone guests after the report by Rasha Abdelhamid and Abir Hussein.
According to figures from the World Trade Organization, economies of the BRICS countries will account for roughly $26 trillion in global output, control about 17% of global commerce, and account for 27% of the planet's surface area. Johannesburg, South Africa, recently hosted the 15th BRICS Summit. At the conclusion of the summit, it was announced that 6 new nations would join the BRICS group, which already consists of South Korea, the UAE, Saudi Arabia, Egypt, Iran, and Ethiopia, in addition to India, Brazil, Russia, and China. The BRICS leaders hope to achieve balance in both international relations and the world economy. Only 6 nations have managed to join BRICS, with membership taking effect at the beginning of next year, despite the fact that more than 40 nations have shown an interest in doing so and that roughly 24 nations have made official requests to do so. According to the World Bank's Global Development Indicators, the BRICS bloc has been successful in achieving significant economic growth during the previous 20 years, as the share of its economies in the world output climbed from 17.8% to 25.7% between 2010 and 2022. In terms of their involvement on the world stage, the BRICS bloc nations are funding ambitious international initiatives like China's Belt and Road Initiative and the creation of 100 smart cities connected to express trains in India. In addition, Russia wants to create a new economic link between Europe and Asia with the Russian Far East. The BRICS nations are looking to use their currencies in trade exchange or to start using a different unified currency for the members of the bloc in an effort to find alternatives to the dollar-based trading system. Due to its rapid growth, the bloc will by the following year account for nearly 43% of the world's oil production, nearly 30% of the global gross domestic product, and more than 45% of the world's population. This places the bloc in a strong position to influence world politics in the years to come. There is no doubt that Egypt's membership in the BRICS group opens up promising prospects for cooperation with the economies of its members, increasing the opportunities for trade exchange, bolstering the competitiveness of the Egyptian economy, and aiding in the attraction of more investments to the competitive business environment in Egypt. The BRICS countries also represent an important source of foreign investment flows, opening up more options for Egyptian companies and capitals. Egypt's membership in BRICS is a sign that its diplomatic efforts to promote its vision for the expansion and diversification of the world economy in support of sustainable development were successful. Additionally, it reaffirms the beliefs of the bloc nations that Egypt will add significantly to quality at all levels. By joining the group, Egypt will also gain from expanding its role on the global stage by pursuing a number of objectives. First and foremost is seeking to increase participation and cooperation with nations that are not BRICS members, promoting global security and peace for economic growth and political stability, and pledging to reform the international financial institutions so that emerging and developing economies will have a stronger voice, along with collaborating with the global community to keep multilateral trading systems stable, enhance the climate for international trade and investment, and strive towards achieving the sustainable development targets and multilateral environmental agreements.
All right, welcome back. Now with us live over the phone from the United Arab Emirates is Dr. Amr Saleh, a former World Bank counselor. Dr. Saleh, thank you very much for joining us. So the benefits of Egypt's joining the BRICS and the opportunities that lay out there for Egypt, Dr. Saleh.
It's a pleasure to be always with you. Let me talk about the BRICS first. I think this is a very strategic move. We've been waiting for the BRICS countries to aspire to create a new era, a new order, an alternative currency for global trade, to minimize the risks of the potential backed by gold, and to lessen the reliance on U.S. dollar for pricing of essential commodities in the global market. And I think that this is going to be very beneficial, not only for Egypt, but for the members' countries. This is a win-win situation. It's true that Egypt could potentially address its estimated $17 billion financing that force until 2026 through this membership. And I think that, as you said, there's going to be lots of interest, lots of advantage for Egypt and also for the member country, because this is going to attract new investment. This is going to boost bilateral relations between the members of the BRICS, and it also goes to very important investments, not only in the Egyptian economy, but for the members' countries. You know, concerning the Egyptian economy and concerning bilateral trade, as we know that the investments from the BRICS countries to Egypt surged from 61 million of dollars in 2020 to 891 million in 2022, and this is an increase by 45 or 50%. So Egypt joining this new organization, this new coalition, could also benefit, as we know, from the new development bank that's called the NDB.
Yes.
That was established in 2015. The BRICS countries, and thanks also to the Arab Emirates, the UAE, that is going to finance a big part of the development. This development bank that could be an alternative or replacement. I don't think that it's going to be a replacement, but it's going to be somehow an alternative of the World Bank and the IMF. They're going to support the member states through what we call reserve arrangements and create a new framework to provide additional liquidity and other benefits to the BRICS countries during economic crisis. So I think that Egypt's going to benefit from substantial mutual trade. Egypt has a considerable volume of trade with the BRICS. You know, even before the BRICS, Egypt is either related to Russia, China, India, the UAE. The trade, Egypt could expand its export to these countries and work on trade agreements, like, for example, the common market of the South, what's called the Mercosur. and Egypt, through this agreement and this coalition could become a hub to connect Africa, Asia, and South America. I think this is going to be a strategic move because it's going to secure also, Mohammed, if you agree, this is going to secure strategic commodities. Egypt, Russia, India, and lately the UAE, especially Egypt and the UAE, they have worked a lot to secure strategic commodities, trading wheat and rice, along with other strategic commodities. Exchange is going to be in national currency, in Egyptian pounds, ruble, rupiah. Egypt is expecting to import like 12 million of tons of wheat, which is a big amount. So this is based on the Ministry of Supply, by the way. So this is going to elevate and minimize the impact of the dollarization in the Egyptian market. Another benefit, in my opinion, is the relations between the UAE and United Arab Emirates and Egypt. We know that the two countries, and even the two leaders, Mohammed bin Zayed, Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed, and President Fattah al-Sisi, they have a special relation. The two men have a special relation. They met lots of time. The special and the extraordinary relation between the two countries, especially the economic relation between the two countries. You know that the UAE is going to finance, for example, energy projects in Egypt. Egypt is a part of Emirati investments. Lately, the UAE has put lots of investments in Egypt, and having the UAE and Egypt a part of this coalition,
along with Saudi Arabia, of course. Yeah,
exactly. But let me talk about the real special relations between the two countries, because economic and political relations between Egypt and the UAE are an extraordinary model of mutual cooperation, mutual understanding, mutual benefit, one history, one horizon, one objective. There's an extraordinary compromise and understanding, mutual understanding between two leaders, Mohammed bin Zayed, Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed of Abu Dhabi, and President Fattah al-Sisi. I think the two men, they met more than 27 times between Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed in Al-Alamein recently, and we've seen the love and the welcome of the people welcoming Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed. So that's why I think, you talk about Saudi Arabia, but I think that the exceptional relation, economic relation, political relation between also Egypt and UAE as two main economic countries in the Arab world is going to give lots of importance to the BRICS coalition. The UAE, with its weight in the GCC, and Egypt, with its potential and weight, political weight and economic weight in Africa, is going to help the bilateral relation and trade and benefit between the members of the BRICS countries.
Indeed, a very important point there, Dr. Saleh. So Egypt's membership in the BRICS should accelerate the BRICS Africa cooperation, right? I mean, Egypt is the gate to Africa. Many BRICS countries, especially China, Russia, now the United Arab Emirates, Saudi Arabia, and of course South Africa, have a lot of investments in the African continent. There's also, of course, Brazil and India. So the fact Egypt's joining of the BRICS should accelerate BRICS Africa cooperation in general, Dr. Saleh?
Yes, you know that Egypt has played an important role 3 or 4 years ago, if I do remember, when President Fattah al-Sisi headed, and when Egypt was at the head of the African Union. We all remember the summit that Egypt helped to hold between Africa, what we call the the African Development Summit. Africa, UK, Africa, France, Africa, Germany, Africa, Russia, Africa, China.
Right.
Yes. Recently, Africa, China, and also bringing Africa to be a part of the conference that we held recently in Saudi Arabia, what was called the Chinese and Arab coalition, economic coalition. And Egypt and the African countries were there. So I think that Egypt is going to play, and is really playing, an important role in bringing African countries to enjoy and benefit from the benefits that are going to be offered by the BRICS. It's true that not all the African countries are members. We know that Egypt is now a member with South Africa. As I have said, excellent relations, and the trade exchange between Egypt and its counterparts, especially China, Russia, India, and the UAE. You know that for example, the trade exchange between Egypt and the UAE has increased by 6.5%. To attain 4.6 or about $5 billion in 2022, comparing with the 4.3 billion of dollars a year before. So we talk about billion of dollars of trade between Egypt and its counterparts, whether we talk about Russia, China, India, which are really traditional allies and friends of Egypt, or the UAE, which is more than an ally to Egypt.
Of course, along with Saudi Arabia, there's also Brazil and South Africa. Thank you very much, Dr. Amr Saleh, a former World Bank counselor, talking to us from the UAE. Thank you very much for your time. A short break now, and another distinguished guest will be with us over the phone to continue our discussion, dear viewers, so please stay with us.
تحية تقدير واحترام لبطل حقيقي. البطل ده هو مصر وشعبها. الحكاية مش حكاية لا حكومة ولا قيادة، ده حكاية كل مواطن في مصر. أكرمت مصر وشرفت مصر وعزيت مصر، انتم قتلتم. فالشرف كل الشرف، والكرامة كل الكرامة، والفضل كل الفضل لله سبحانه وتعالى، ثم ليكم انتم. شرفتوني واكرمتموني وعزتوني ورفعتوا راسي قدام الدنيا كلها باللي انتم عملتوه. والله 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 لن يستطيع اي رئيس يقف مكاني هنا انه يقدر يعمل حاجه بدونكم. لن يستطيع. قصه وطن يتحدث عن نفسه، شعب اراد الحياه فاستجاب له القدر.
Welcome back, dear viewers. With us now is Dr. Zainab Nawar, economic expert and professor of economy. Very good evening to you, Dr. Zainab. Thank you for joining us. And because we have some, say, 7 or 8 minutes left, I want to give the mic to you, and don't give it back to me before 7 or 8 minutes. We want to listen from you. What do you think about this development, Egypt joining the BRICS, the opportunities that lay out there for Egypt and the BRICS group as well?
Yes, of course, when we talk about BRICS and how Egypt can benefit from this, what we can say, this huge economic, what we can say, regional bloc, this is how we see it. Or now the world is working on what we can say the regionalization of the countries of the world, but it's like a regionalization with a different perspective. I mean, countries are not no longer near each other to say that it's a regional economic bloc. However, the political and the economic interests govern the actions and govern the what we can say the allies of this huge economic integration. We think that we can benefit a lot from being a part of this huge integration and being a part of BRICS. First, the countries of the world, they are trying now to move away from the hegemony of the U.S. and also the hegemony of the U.S. dollar on the international economy. So it will be a chance for Egypt, in a way or another, to do like an exchange for trade using our local currencies. This will, of course, lessen the pressure on the Egyptian pound, and of course this will be for the sake of the Egyptian pound. I mean, lessen this type of hegemony or this type of control of the U.S. dollar on the economies of the world, or on the economy of the world, or the economy of the countries that choose to do the trade using the U.S. dollar. This is number one. Number two, I believe that we can have a lot of facilities from India and from China in terms of getting the raw materials in what I can say in a better deal, because we still need to get the raw materials sometimes from these countries to industrialization of Egypt and also for different industries. Also, we can get more of the expertise and technological, what I can say, the new edges of technology that if we can learn from them, and if we can import this type of technologies from China and India, I believe this will add a lot to our economy. And of course, if we can export to these huge markets, whatever we have an edge in terms of industry, in terms of agriculture products, this will add a lot also to the Egyptian economy. We need to plan very well how to benefit from this situation, and also how to use our location and how to use that, given that we are having the Suez Canal and we are in the heart of the world. So definitely we have this important strategic location, strategic economic location that also can put us in a good edge with this BRICS, or this allies of what I can say powerful economic countries that are using this, or that are part of this BRICS and part of this regional economic bloc.
Yes. In the bloc, and that's the final question, 2 or 3 minutes, Dr. Zeynep. In the bloc, India is the biggest importer from Egypt within the BRICS, and China is the biggest exporter to Egypt. There are special relations between Egypt and each of the BRICS countries. And now we know, of course, that Saudi Arabia and the UAE are also there. So how can also Egypt benefit from each special tie or relationship with the BRICS group, with each of the countries of the BRICS group?
Yes, being an Arab and African country in this alliance, and also having the Saudi Arabia and the United Arab Emirates, this will give us like a powerful edge. And of course, this is normal, that we see that the United Arab Emirates and Saudi Arabia are part from BRICS now, because these countries are now trying to protect their own interests against what we can say the U.S. hegemony, and also the hegemony of the U.S. dollar on the international world. So having Egypt part of this deal, or having Egypt part of the BRICS, this will serve the interest in terms of different opportunities, being an African country. And of course, we know that China now is looking for the African countries, and also China is trying to look for its own interest in Africa. And of course, Egypt would be a route for that. Also, being an Arab country and having the Saudi Arabia and also having the United Emirates and Egypt, and all of this would also add a lot of edges in terms of the Arab countries. And given what we can say that the interest related to the oil and petroleum also So if we can imagine that, to what extent that joining the United Arab Emirates and Saudi Arabia, they had done so also for their own interests of oil and petroleum, and also to guarantee a sustainable, what we can say, also selling the oil and petroleum using their own local currencies, and also lessen the pressure on their economies by using the US dollar. So the same also for Egypt, that we can benefit by being a route for the transport of a lot of trade between the different countries of BRICS, and also being and having the Suez Canal, which is the most important geostrategic resource that we do have also for the transportation of oil and petroleum. So this is one of our edges being part of this, through our routes for the oil and petroleum, and also through our locations in Africa. So actually Egypt has a lot of potential and has a lot of things that we can use in this game in the benefits for our economy.
Thank you very much, Dr. Zainab Nawar, economic expert and professor of economy. Also thanks to Dr. Amr Saleh, the former World Bank Chancellor, for his participation in the program. And thank you, dear viewers, for watching us. Next week, God willing, same time, is another episode of Business Insider. Good.